Welcome to the next installment of the Substack Live series, Starting from Zero. Now, I have been very excited about doing this particular interview because when Susan and I met each other, we started a whole conversation about where we were from, what we did, and we both experienced living in the UK and then moving over to America. So we've both been through that starting from zero from a life perspective, but we also then came over here onto Substack and have had a great friendship behind the scenes and just discussing everything book marketing because we're going to dive into the story with how that all came about and some of our personal experiences that we can share with you today, and I'll hopefully help you if you're an aspiring author, a published author, or even if you're just publishing on Substack. I think what Susan has to share today is going to be really, really valuable for you. So first off, I would love to introduce you to Susan Friedmann, who is the founder of Aviva Publishing and Marketing. And so behind the scenes, she is helping those authors market those books and get them out into the world when really there's so much to do beyond the writing. So Susan, I'd love to just pass it over to you so you can actually give an introduction and a little bit of an insight into your background before we dive deeper into the conversation today.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. It's wonderful to be here. And yes, I mean, it's amazing. You've had these few guests
Yep.
before me, and the collaboration and, bringing people onto this. I love it. Yes, starting from zero. I've done that several times in my life, I must admit. And now in the book marketing, book publishing, and book marketing space, I've been in here, 30 plus years. Feels like a long time. It sounds like a long time. It is a long time. So I have seen and interacted with several hundred authors. And so I know a lot about what they go through. And having written 18 books myself, I know what it feels like, especially going back to the first time that I did it, which I often, you know, think about when I interact with authors who are starting from zero,
Yeah.
and they've got the book and they've written it and it gets published, and then they say, now what? Now what do I do? And there's so much information out there, but yes, I've traveled the world. I've done a lot of speaking, training, coaching, and I just love what I do, and I love the people I work with.
That's incredible. And I expect you've seen lots of different approaches to how people market their book. And so, there's huge success stories out there. And I do want to hone in on your success story with one particular book that you had. But from your vision of seeing everybody with what they're creating, have you seen some mistakes along the way that you think that you wish you could have just whispered in their ear of like think about this before you go ahead and do this? What would you say that you see most common?
Well, and I love that question. Thank you, because it often starts with that. Because my first conversation with anybody is number one, what do you want your book to do for you, and who is it for? And both of those questions are ones that the authors struggle with, particularly the second one, because they say, my book is for everyone. And it might be, but even the multinationals in this world do not market to everyone. They've got their little corner, their little niche in the marketplace, and they work with that. And somehow authors don't realize, even though the book might be for everyone, but you just can't go out and market to everyone. So it's finding that right reader, that niche, that pocket of people that you can wrap your arms around and say, yes, these are my peeps. These are the people who I want to read this book first and foremost.
That's
There's a
great.
lot of fear with that too. Yes.
There is.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, not at all. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this it happens when things pop into my head. I have to I'm like I get really
Yeah,
excited.
I know. I have that too.
And because what I was thinking as you were talking is that there's authors of publishing their books, but actually here on Substack we are all authors publishing.
Hmm.
And so
Absolutely.
that same tip that you're sharing there can actually apply to those of us that are publishing, that we're not just publishing to everybody, that is who like publish for that ideal reader who that you're writing a personal note to in the morning. And I think that's huge, isn't it, to
It,
sort
it
of
is
have
huge.
have a real niche. And that leads on to the most successful book. I think it's your most successful book that you've had, where tell us a little bit about that, of like how you had companies buy thousands of copies to distribute. Like how did that come about? Tell us a little bit more about that and what the book is, if you've got a copy of it with you as well.
Yes. Okay, so that's not the one that I had available
Oh,
but
okay.
that's okay. That's
Yeah,
totally okay.
that's fine. But
You
tell us about
know,
this.
it was actually my very first book,
Okay.
and I was turned down multiple times, but eventually I found a publisher,
Mm,
and I was in the trade show industry. I was working doing trade show training. And when I was speaking, doing training, and looking for some help in this
mhm,
area,
yeah,
I've been very involved for 30 plus years with the National Speakers Association.
mm,
So I spoke to one of the veteran members there and I said, what shall I do? Help me, which is really hard for me to do, by the way, to
mhm,
ask somebody for help, but I did. And he said to me, write a book. Well, that was the furthest thing from my mind. I was like, no, tell me something else. I don't want to write a book. Writing was not something that I enjoyed. I wasn't good at it at school. And I thought, no. But I was like, if that's the way to go,
mhm.
let me do that. So I talked about, trade show training.
Wow.
In fact, the book was called Exhibiting at Trade Shows:
Yeah.
Tips and Techniques for Success. It was not for everybody. It was for a very select group of people.
Yeah.
And I remember going to a bookstore in town. I was living in Cincinnati at the time, and I looked for my book, and sure enough, it was on the shelf. So, of course, I took it out of the shelf and I stood it up in front so that they could see the front cover.
Yeah.
But I thought to myself, I don't want to be selling this book in onesies and twosies.
Mm.
So I thought it through and I was like, who wants this book? Well, exhibitors at trade shows.
Yes.
And who else is interested in exhibitors at trade shows? So I looked at companies that had the same audience as me, and I started talking to them.
Incredible.
And then one company, they sold the exhibits,
Yeah.
and that's a big group
Yeah.
and multi-million dollar organizations. And one company liked it and they
Yeah.
said, yes, we'll have 2,000 copies. I was like, great. Wow, I'm onto something here.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to go to their competitors. And these were companies that built the custom exhibits.
Okay.
Really fancy. They cost $250,000 at these big trade shows.
Mm.
So I went to the people who do the portable exhibits. And those are what they call 10 by 10s. In
Yeah.
England, we call them stands.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
States, they're exhibits or booths.
Mm-hmm.
And one company said, I like it. And we got talking about it and how they could use the book.
Yeah.
And they've got distributors all over the world. So it just blew my mind that they ordered 250,000 and it went so well, they ordered another 250,000. They
Wow.
translated it into 5 languages. And I was like, this was just beyond what I'd even imagined would happen.
Just
And it blew my mind, let alone blowing everybody else's mind.
That's incredible. And it just shows that, everybody says about having a niche or a niche and doing all of those things around. But actually, what you did was what you do within your role of within your company is that you marketed it in a unique way and put it in like a no-brainer offer for a company that's going to be helpful to other people. And I think when you come from that context, it's like you've done the preparation work. Now you just have to have the right conversation with the right person in the right company at the right time,
Exactly.
and there's the result right there. And so tell me, is that the reason why your next book became the title of what it
Well,
is?
it actually is one further along the line. I did several books in
Okay.
the trade show industry,
Yes.
and publishers are not interested in books on trade shows,
Mm.
traditional publishers. So one of the tips that I was given was start your own publishing company, publish your own work. I was like, that sounds like a really good idea.
Yes, it
So
does.
most of the books that I published for myself under Aviva Publishing.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. And all of a sudden, I was attracting book coaches who said,
Mm.
would you publish my work and would you publish my client's work? I was like, I had never thought about that, but
Yeah.
why not? A
But
door opened.
mhm.
I walked through it. And that's been, a door that I've loved. And it's led to, me working with hundreds of authors. And I lost my passion for the trade show industry
Mhm.
and I needed to start from zero.
Yeah.
And so, I was thinking about what should I do? What should I do? And it was my daughter who literally said, you've got this publishing company. Why don't you do more with it? So, lo and behold, I made that the central focus of
Yeah.
what I wanted to do. And one of the things, as I was thinking about this, was how did I become successful in the trade show industry? I was there for 25 years. And I was like, I wasn't strategic about it, even though when I went back and looked at what it took for me to become sort of one of the quasi celebrities in that industry. Nobody outside the industry knew me, but within that industry, people knew me,
Yeah.
and I was in publications all over the world. So I sort of, backtracked and thought about how did I do that? And that actually led to Riches and Niches, how to make it big in a small market.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Even though it's hard for me to say the word niche.
I know. We do.
Hard.
It's
Niche as a Francophile. I need to say niche, but that doesn't rhyme with riches. Um, any event. So that book, I really looked at what I'd done, and I thought, is this something that other people can duplicate?
yes.
And that was the reason for that book. And that actually was traditionally published.
Oh,
Uh,
congratulations.
so
Yeah.
thank you. And it's also been translated into multiple languages. It's so cool to see it in Korean and in Polish. I can't read it, but I mean,
And
it's cool to see it in those languages.
but I think by you, what you're walking the walk and talking the talk and living the whole thing, which is also really, really like credible for your clients as well, to say, it's not, I've been through this process and I can guide you through this process. And so I would love to just talk to you about your clients, of the stages that they go through from before the book, during the book, and then after the book, of the mindset, the self-sabotage and all of those things, because that same outlook can be applied to here, to Substack as well. I
Yes.
think that you can
Oh,
prevent
very much
yourself
so.
from being, you can, but am I going to put a note out there? Is that going to resonate? No, it might. Who's going to say something about this? Okay, I'll put delete. What is it about getting our words out to the world that sometimes we can feel like we're being suffocated and strangled a little bit?
Oh, the head trash that
Yeah.
goes on with everything you put out. And I
Mhm.
know that for myself because that actually has happened to me over the years that,
Right.
does somebody want to read what I've got to offer? And, what are they going to think? How are they going to judge me? How are they going to criticize me? All of this, as I say, head trash goes on. And we often sabotage ourselves.
Mhm.
I remember early on thinking, you know, am I am I good enough for this? Is this how are people going to view me?
Mhm.
Are people going to challenge me with what I've written and what I teach? And I thought, okay, there's something wrong with me. I sort
Mhm.
of feel like this imposter. Uh,
Mhm.
however, you know, I actually found a book on the imposter syndrome, and I thought, "Oh my goodness, this has helped me," because I suddenly realized I was not the only one behaving like this. And the more I dug into even that concept, Sarah, is that, now you see people like Oprah and Tom Hanks and Jodie Foster, Meryl Streep, all of these people have talked about the imposter syndrome.
Yes.
However, you don't want to let that stop you. Why not look at it as an advantage and turn that fear into fire
Mm.
so that that can motivate you to do it. However, know your path, know the direction you want to go. And that's very much when I start with authors is looking at, as I said earlier on, who is their target market? What do you want the book to do for you? What is the role the book will play for you? It's a credibility builder.
Yeah.
It's a door opener. You just don't know, but you've got to put yourself out there. And, Substack is one platform to do that.
Yeah.
And I love Substack, as
Mhm.
you do too. I mean,
Mhm.
we're just
Mhm.
raving about it and the people we've met, the people we're working with. Um, but starting from zero, which you've put yourself out there very vulnerably, and
Yeah.
congratulations for doing that. It takes courage. However, people admire that because they do want to know how to do this.
I
And
agree. I agree. And I think there's something in everything that you're saying there because I have one person in mind who is just incredible with words. And I see it of coming from other platforms where previously I have put something out into the world and then somebody who doesn't really know the true essence of me is not the person who I'm speaking to has been critical or judgmental or said or were opinionated, and that person, that inner child within me is like, I must be quiet, I mustn't say anything, I must delete it because I want to be a nice person, I don't want to say anything to offend. But actually that was obviously the wrong environment. But I think that when you come into the right environment where you put something out there where you are vulnerable and you're met with somebody who resonates with that and says, I feel that too, and it's like, you've inspired me to do this today, or there's something that there's, you might just be one step ahead of somebody else's thought, but it was already a seed. And if you can prevent that self-imposter syndrome, or you can prevent that like self-doubt for somebody to put their words out there so they are met with the same encouragement, motivation and confidence, to give them the confidence to share their words with the world, whether it is Substack, whether it is a book. In those, I think that's the point, is that how do you push past the imposter syndrome and the fear and the doubt and the fear and the judgment? Is it finding your environment to write and put out there, or community? What would be your top tip
I
on
think the top tip is to really know who your audience is and the message that you want to put out there, and then just to do it. just to do it like you did on Substack, like I did on Substack. I didn't know. And even just doing the Substack live, as you
Yeah.
know, I'm a real novice here. And yet I now want to be able to do it for myself as well. And you become my teacher for that as well. So
Yeah.
this is what happens. And you've admitted you're one step ahead of me.
Mhm.
Okay. So,
Do it. But that's the point, is that I've got a voice note today to say, listen, Susan, like, this whole concept. You're doing this with your authors, and I'm gonna like we're gonna go, and you're not doing this alone, like this. And that's the point, is that when you find your community and you find your people, and it becomes like an open book where you then you don't feel so lost and alone with something. It's like, listen, I've just hit publish for the 8 days, every single day, having a conversation. And some things have worked, some things haven't, but then we're going to have a workshop where we're going to go through and say, this is how you can do it too. And I think that's the point, is that it's an education, and the
yeah,
more that you know, and the more that you share, and the more that you just share it with others as well, it then gives you the confidence to, can't wait to be part of your live series that you're
exactly.
doing. And I think
Yeah.
that's the essence of it. And I think, bringing it back to the book marketing side of things, if you've read my about page or any of or my article, one of the taglines that I have is that I like to zig while everyone else is zagging. And so it's about doing things differently, about finding something that you can do your way. Like, this does not have to be a template formula on how you market your book. It can actually just be of like, who's your audience, where are they, what does that look like, can you do an author night, can you do all of those things. And actually, most people know me for the magazine, but I did actually publish a book. So I've got my book
Yay.
out there into the world. That was back in 2018. And it was during just like the COVID times was when that came all together. And that book actually inspired what you see with Intentional Living magazine today. And so that was the big shock to the system, was when that book was published. It was that question that you said at the very beginning: now what? Because you think that all of the hard work goes into the writing, but then you're on the next level of the devil when it needs to go for editing, and you're readjusting the chapters, and you're making tweaks and perfections. Then it comes back, and then you're ready for launch, and it might not be on the date that you want. I moved my launch date because it just didn't feel aligned. And it was like having confidence in moving something, if you know that that's the right thing to do. So it was going to be my birthday, and then we moved it to August 27th, because it was like, that felt like it was the right thing to do. And then after that, we moved, and I saw all of these like little beach libraries that were around, and so I printed about 250 copies of my book, and I put them all in serendipitous places. So it was the beach library, it was the local library, it was in box, sort of like when you can like give and receive. It was those areas. But also, I collaborated with a women's subscription box that
Fantastic.
they had a membership of, I think it was like 2,500 women in there, and they ordered 2,500 copies of the book. That book could go into a kit that a woman would receive, and that would come with a workshop that I held, that you'd learn how to do it, as well as going, reading the book, but then join me for a workshop and learn how to do it even deeper. And I think it's always finding something that feels unique to you, that you can be proud of what you've created, because your publication, your book, the things that you put your words to, are something to be proud of, and it doesn't deserve to be just on a bookshelf somewhere gathering dust. So
Gathering dust.
that's
Exactly.
yeah.
You've
And
got
what
to
are the
feel
next?
the passion for it. I mean,
It
this is
is.
it. I mean, you've given birth to this baby,
Yeah.
and you've got to feed it, you've got to nurture it, you've got to take care of it, and you
Yes.
do it by, it's a gift. What gift
Yes.
are you giving to people? Um, your book is full of articles, it's full of tips, it's full of
Mm.
all sorts of things. You can turn it into workshops, you can turn it into a speech. It might have come from a speech. Sometimes people are speakers and then they write their book, you know. Having been involved with the speaking industry for over 30 years, that's often what happens. However, it's a tool. You're
Yes.
not out there selling books. It's not about selling books. It's about how can this book now be this credibility builder? It's this showing that you've got the know-how, you've got the expertise in an area, and it's showing people that you have. It's like a passport, but it's opening doors. It's allowing you in to different environments. People see you differently when they know that you're a published author. So often people, I'm sure you've had it, they said, "How did you do that? I've always wanted to write a book." And so more people say that than actually do it. So the
Mhm.
people who actually do it, bravo. I mean, such such an achievement, and I
Mhm.
always compliment people. But now you've done that, but that's not the end of the journey. That's the beginning of the journey, which is
Totally.
often, you know, shocks authors. It's like, "Well, you know, isn't the book going to sell itself?" No, it's not.
No,
You
no.
can put it on Amazon. Amazon is not your friend. It'll take your money. It'll, put your book out there. It'll do all sorts of things for you. But it's a shop window,
Mhm.
and you still have to bring people to the shop window to buy.
Yeah.
So, why not go out and look at bigger opportunities
Mm.
rather than sort of focusing on sales? As soon as any client comes in and starts focusing on sales, I'm like, "No, let's start opening doors, building authority, credibility I in this for yourself." So,
I really love what you're saying there about, I'll take it back to when you said about repurposing your content as well, because like now we have the perfect outlets to repurpose the content,
yes.
whether it's prior to writing a book or whether it's post writing a book. So some of the clients that we work with House of Brand, we say about getting articles out there that are like the chapters of your book that then can be clipped and repurposed and put onto places like Instagram, or a quote can be put into a graphic that could go onto Pinterest. All of these searchable places that this can go out to, that when people are worrying about what to post out there, you've got it all there. It doesn't need to be reinvented or recreated when you already have something that can be put together. And I think anybody that's thinking that they have a book with inside them, there's an opportunity to have
Oh,
Substack
yes.
as your chapters of the beginnings of
You
where
can
that
try
looks.
things out. You can
Yeah.
try things out on Substack. That's what makes it so powerful. You can get feedback. You've got this community who'll be willing to give you feedback if you ask for it. If
Yes.
you know, allow yourself to be vulnerable enough to do that. But I think one
Mm.
of the things that you were saying allows you to give your book a role. It's like
Yeah.
you know, an actor in a play. You're
Mhm.
giving it a role, and then, you know, what's the story? What do you want to build around that? Rather than, "I've got a book, wouldn't you like to buy it?" No. It's like, turn it around. How can this book help me open doors to
Yeah.
other big and better opportunities? Whether it's repurposing it into articles, checklists, tip sheets. People love that kind of thing, by the way. However, now with AI, it's not about information. It's
Mm.
about transformation. So it's looking at how can this your what you've got in this book allow people to be transformed in different ways. So knowing your audience and helping them with that, that's important. People want to know, don't want to know how to do it. They don't know what to do it. They want to know how to do it. And
Yeah.
that's what you're going to do. Get myself all twisted up here. Yes.
And I think there's something as you're talking there as well, and I love these conversations that I have with you, because our brains, like, they feed each other's, like, for creative brainstorming and ideas. And I think there's going to be many more conversations that you and I have about this, because I think there's publishing within us both, whether it's the magazine, the book, or the marketing, and I think we both have a real love and passion for marketing. And I think a tip that I would share today for anybody that is having like thinking about a book, have a book, marketing their book, publishing articles, creating a business, whatever it is, like you redefine what that is for you. But what I would actually say is that if you have a vision about anything and it doesn't exist, create it. Because taking a book as an example of like, if I have this beautiful space here in the studio now, and if I was really focusing on doing a relaunch of it or something like that, I would start my own book club. And I would say, like, and have an author night. Like, don't be afraid to create your own author evening or your own book club, or a behind the scenes of the book, or a workshop about it, or the takeaways
People
about it,
love
or
that.
diving
Love
deeper with it. And so don't rely on somebody else. Take responsibility for your own success of what that looks like. And I think that that's the point, is that we often wait for an invitation, but sometimes you have to create an RSVP to your own invitation.
you do, without any shadow of doubt. And that's going to help that imposter syndrome, just
Yeah.
doing it,
Mm,
taking the fear. Don't worry about the fear. You're
mm,
giving people gifts. You're giving people a gift now by putting this together and interviewing people. And, we're sharing. These are gifts that we're giving to people.
yeah.
The same, I've got a podcast I've been doing now for 10 years,
Mm,
book marketing mentors. And I love interviewing people.
yeah.
So I don't know if you can hear in the background, my cat is like banging on the door here, wanting to get into the room.
Let me in. But I
Let me in. I want part of this action.
Oh, well, I mean, we're sort of like in the final few minutes of this conversation, which I have loved. It's just flown by. I would just sort of like to hand it back over to you to say, is there any key takeaways that you would like to leave our listeners and watchers with, and anybody that's watching on the replay, and something that will actually support this live? So for anybody that's watched the previous lives that we've done, you'll know that there's a supporting article at the end of this, and we share all the details of how you can connect with Susan, and I'm sure I'll share the podcast in there, but also we share some tips. And so just some key takeaways to leave everybody with today. What would you say?
You're not selling books.
Mm,
You're selling opportunities to open doors. I feel as if it's a bit of a stuck record, but
mm,
um, it's so key. You've got to start with the basics.
yeah,
Don't be frightened to start with the basics. Do them and then grow from there. It's building blocks, and you'll learn as you go. You're going to make mistakes. It's okay. These are lessons, and they're going to help you along the way. I've had so many lessons that I've had to learn along the way. And one of them is ask for help. Yeah, I was so fearful of asking for help. I thought that I had to know it all, and I don't, and I can't possibly. And now I love asking for help. But I
because
had to learn
people
how
love
to do it. I started from zero.
yeah.
I wouldn't ask for help.
But
Oh,
people love to help. I think that's the difference, is knowing that often when you do ask for help, people are willing to step forward because they want to be kind and help others. And I think it feeds into every conversation that we've had so far this week about finding your community. And I know Anne Marie's on the live here with us as well, saying that she hosts talks in the community, and so we're doing it. And I think that that's the point, is that if we're all sharing our tips and insights, if that inspires somebody else to really just not just get out and do it, because that's very easy to say, because it's there's circumstances that come into the mix of all of this, but actually just to take that one step further, that extra one baby step that pushes you out of your comfort zone into the edge of possibility of, what if I do this? What if I ask for help? What if
absolutely. It's
what
all
if
baby steps.
all
You
baby
know,
steps?
it's all baby steps. We're learning to walk, and we
Mm,
have to learn to walk before we can run. I mean,
yes.
just like a baby. Anybody on the line here who's had little ones know all about what it takes.
Yeah.
And it's, there are the growing pains. We're all going to have them, and it's okay. We'll survive them.
Yeah.
We really
And
will.
each stage of it is like a birthing
Oh, it
process. It
is. It
can
is.
be painful
Yeah,
and it can be joyful at the same time, and that's
exactly.
okay. We just have to take every step of the process and embrace it and go with it. And I think that when you get in flow with something like that, it does give you the confidence
Oh, yeah.
just to take
Believe in
it.
yourself too. Believe in yourself, believe in your message, and, keep putting it out there.
Yeah.
Put it out in different ways.
Mhm.
People learn in different ways, whether we're auditory, we're visual, we're kinesthetic. We learn in different ways. So, hey, just do it. Just
Yeah.
do it.
That's
And I
amazing.
love what you're doing, and keep it up. And thank you for having me on the show. It's been a pleasure, and I hope our listeners and viewers are getting something useful. My Substack is Book Marketing with Susan. And so please, it's bookmarketingwithsusan.us. Actually, I bought the URL for that. Only cost me a couple of bucks, but I thought, well, what the heck. And I've got a ton of information. I put out articles every week about different aspects of book marketing. It's all about book marketing. So, and I'm going to do a Substack Live on Let's Talk Book Marketing. So look for that. Well, I'm thinking sometime beginning of September.
Incredible.
So
You are such
witnessed it. I've just voiced it, which is already the beginning. I've just started from zero, Sarah. You've given me the guts to already talk about something that I haven't created yet.
it's out there. There's physical evidence out in the world now, and we've got everybody that can hear you say it as well, and we're looking forward to it, and Patty's looking forward to it as well. We have so much to share, and I think that's it's just the start of so many other conversations about before, during, and after the whole book process. And I just want to say thank you for sharing the value today. And I just think that everything that you have created over the number of years that you've been doing this, I think anybody that comes, reads from you, learns from you, and spends time with you is in very safe and capable hands. And this is not our last conversation, but for now, we're going to leave everybody get on with their day, and we hope that you've enjoyed today's session, and join us again for tomorrow, where we're going to be talking about community. So for now, Susan, it's been an honor and a privilege. Thank you for joining us, and for everybody that's joined, thank you too for joining this
Thank you.
whole
It's my
whole
pleasure
series.
and honor too. What a
Thank you.
gift. Take care, everyone.
Bye
Bye.
bye.